Hey everybody, Cindy here with Monarch Mom DIY. Today I have a tutorial for the 3-page folio. So here are two samples that I made on Facebook Live, and I'm just going to show you a real quick flip through again what they look like. There's a magnetic flap on the right, and then it opens to the left. There's a little pocket there. Then we have these 4 pages in the middle that fold and can go either to the front or to the back, and then a back page and a back cover. So here's another one I made. Now you'll notice on these I made them with black cardstock, and then I just cut patterned cardstock to go over the top. Now the one we're going to make here in the tutorial, I'm going to double mat everything. So I'm actually going to build my folio with this cream colored cardstock. You need 3 sheets, and on 2 of the sheets you're going to score on the 11-inch side at 3 inches, 9 inches, and then 9 1/4 inches. So you'll see here I'm doing that on this side. And then with heavy cardstock, I do like to flip it over and rescore. So again, on the back side at 3 inches, 9 inches, and 9 1/4 inches. And then you'll do this on your second sheet of cardstock as well. Now with your third sheet of cardstock on the 11-inch side, you're just going to score it in half at 5.5 inches, flip it over, and score that line again at 5.5 inches. Now that's all the score marks we're going to make. So now what you can do is just fold and burnish down all those score marks, the 3 score marks on the first 2 sheets, and the 1 score mark on our third sheet of cardstock. Now, with your first 2 sheets of cardstock laying next to each other, you can see this is exactly how we scored it. I am applying some glue on the left cardstock in the very right hand section, so between the 9 1/4 inch score and the end of the paper. And then I'm taking our 3-inch score mark, the fold there from the second sheet of cardstock, and I'm gluing it right on top of that small little flap. So now that little flap is on the back of our second sheet, and this is what it looks like. So again, we put the right hand cardstock, we glued it on top of the left hand cardstock. Now with our sheet that is 5.5 inches folded in half, we're going to apply glue now on the back of that flap that is right there in the middle of our folio now. We're just going to apply some wet glue all along the edges and then a little bit in the middle. And then we're going to take that cardstock there and open it up on the left, and we're going to apply it down onto that glue. Also, make sure when you're gluing these papers on top of each other that you're not obstructing the scores, so it can still fold open and closed. And then I'm just making sure this is lined up correctly. And I am going to, once I score that down, I noticed that that inside edge sometimes makes it hard to close our folio. So I'm going to pull my trimmer out here, and I'm just going to trim like a 1/16 of an inch off that center piece of cardstock that we just glued down, the one that folds in half and has the 4 pages on it. So see, I just took that tiny little bit out, and now my book's going to be able to close a lot easier. Now that is pretty much the basic construction of the folio. One more thing we need to do is all the way on the left here, we're going to put a line of glue just on that first section right up to that 3-inch score mark on the 2 sides, and we're going to glue this shut as a pocket. So once I press those sides down, I am going to pinch it together slightly so that it puckers just a little bit in the middle there, and we'll be able to put things in that pocket there. So in my two earlier folios, I just made the folio with cardstock and then used patterned cardstock on top. This time I'm going to double mat. So I made my folio with cream. Now I'm taking some black cardstock. I trimmed it to 8 1/4, and I need 3 pieces that are 8 1/4 tall by 5 3/4 inches wide. So I'm going to cut all 3 of those. These are going to be our front cover, our back cover, and that back sheet area that's right next to our magnet flap. So 3 pieces that are 8 1/4 by 5 3/4. And then once we cut all the black cardstock, then we'll cut some patterned cardstock slightly smaller that will mat on top of these. So next I need 4 pieces that are 8 1/4 by 5 1/4. So if I had an 8 1/2 by 11 and I trimmed 5 3/4 off, that left me with 5 1/4, but I needed one more piece. So now I'm coming into my patterned cardstock, and like I said, these I'm going to cut at 8 inches tall so that we have the black matting all around, and 5 1/2. So my first 3 black pieces of cardstock, I now need 3 pieces of patterned that are 8 inches by 5 1/2. So I'll make sure all these dimensions are in the description of the video as well. And now for my 4 pieces of cardstock that are 8 1/4 by 5 1/4, I need to cut patterned cardstock that's 8 inches by 5 inches. And again, I need 4 of those. Now we'll need 2 pieces of cardstock that are 8 1/4 by 2 3/4. These will be for the pocket page. That's going to be first thing on the inside. So 1 piece of black cardstock for the pocket, and then another piece for the rest of the page next to it. So 2 cardstock 8 1/4 by 2 3/4. And then we'll cut 2 patterned cardstock at 8 inches by 2 1/2 to put on top of there. And the last pieces we'll need will be 2 pieces at 8 1/4 by 1 1/2. And these will be for the flap that has the magnet. So we'll need a piece of black cardstock for the front and one for the back. And then we'll cut our pattern cardstock at 8 by 1 1/4. And then we'll need 2 of those, and then we'll be done cutting our cardstock and we'll be able to assemble our book. So now I'm going to attach my pattern cardstock to the front of all my black cardstock pieces. And I did this one to add a little bit more of a color texture between the patterned cardstock and the folio, since I did make it with cream for something different. Also, it will make the book thicker and more sturdy. So here first are my 3 pieces that are the biggest. The black cardstock is 8 1/4 by 5 3/4, and the patterned is 8 by 5 1/2. So now let me show you where these 3 pieces will go on our folio. One will be our very front cover, and I wanted this beautiful pattern here. So I'm going to go ahead and put some more adhesive on the back now, and we will attach this to the front of our folio. And our second piece will go right next to that on what will be the very back side of our folio. Again, just applying adhesive and attaching this down. And the third piece that we've already matted is going to go all the way on the inside here, right next to the small flap. So again, just adhesive all the way around, a little bit in the middle, and we'll attach this third piece down. Once we have those 3 pieces attached to our folio, next we'll come back and we will put together our next set of pieces, the 4 that are going to go on the inside folding flap page is what I'm going to call it. So again, adhesive for the pattern cardstock to adhere to the black cardstock. And here's that flappy page. It was the one piece of cardstock that we just scored in half. So now I'm deciding where these are going to go, which 2 I'm going to put next to each other. Also keeping in mind the patterns that will be on the pocket page to the left. So we'll stick these 2 down, then we'll flip over our flappy page and stick the other 2 down. Next, we'll assemble our 2 strips that are going to go on the pocket and then next to the pocket, again, like we've been doing before, attaching our pattern cardstock to the black, and then we're attaching that to our folio. I love using paper collections where all of the patterns, the colors match each other. Really, if you're going to do any folio or album type projects, you really want to use collections because everything coordinates. And then you usually get little stickers and things too that we're going to use here in a minute. All right, our last thing are our skinniest strips that we're going to attach to either side of our smallest flap. Now, I'll make a note here. If you want your magnets to be hidden, put them underneath this little strip and the front cover before you put your paper down. I didn't care about that. I wanted you to actually be able to see also where the magnets were, but you can hide your magnets under the cardstock if you so choose. So now that we have all of our decorative paper, let's just do a little flip through. You can see our beautiful patterns all next to each other. And then the last thing I'm going to do for the construction is take some of these magnets from Basic Gray, Grey, and you just match up a plus and a minus with the non-stickered sides together. And then what you're going to do is peel the sticker backing and place that down where you want it on the flaps, keeping the second magnet attached to it for right now till you get it in place. We've got our second magnet down, and then once you have it in place, peel that other sticker off and you'll close your flap. And then when you do that, that exposed adhesive will stick down to your front cover. So I make sure I have it nice and lined up. Press those down really well. And then when you open it, you'll have magnets on either side that are perfectly lined up. So I love these folios. They're really quick and easy to make, really beautiful. You can make for gifts. And the last thing I'm going to do is just cut up some of the journaling cards that are inside. And you also use some of the stickers, and we're just going to decorate this up just a little bit. Now, this is one of the journaling cards. I want to put this one on the front cover. So because it is 3x4, I'm going to cut cardstock at 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. We'll mat that and we'll attach that to the front as a little cover page. Now, the rest of these cards that come in the collections, you can use as many of them as you want inside your folio. This is usually pretty standard for these paper collections, especially from Echo Park that I get. You get stickers, you get the pattern paper, you get the cut aparts, and they could be really fun little spots to be able to write a little note to whoever you're giving this folio to, or journal what the pictures are about and things like that. So I'm just going to let you watch me decorate it up a little bit, and then we'll do a final flip through at the end. So here's our completed folio. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Remember, all the dimensions for the papers will be in the description of the video. And let me know in the comments if you decide to make this. I'd really love to also see your creations, what you do with this idea. Take care.